Chat, chat. What is up, everybody? All right. Let's get some comments pulled up. What is going on, everybody? How's everybody today? I don't even know what today is. What is today? Thursday? It's Thursday, right? We're getting close to the weekend. All right. Let's get everything pulled up. What's up, Sanchez? Hi, hello. Welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing? We did let the Discord know, right? Yeah, we did. Okay. We remember today. What's up, Sanchez? It's good to see you, dude. I finally made it to a live. It's been forever. Welcome, welcome. John, what's happening, brother? Been listening to you for a while now, so glad I can actually listen in with you today. What's up, John? Welcome. You'll probably hear Nova in the background squeaking her little squeaky toy, okay? If that becomes like a problem before we jump into the main point of the stream, I'll like have to just, I guess, confiscate the toy for the time being because it is kind of loud. We'll see how that goes. Olivia, what's up? How's everybody doing? You can hear it pretty plain as day. So, if that continues before we get into the main point of the stream, I'll have to take care of it. How's everybody doing, guys? The Discord is popping off. The Discord's awesome. We did a lot of updates to the Discord, okay, here recently, and I think everybody's really enjoying it. So pretty cool community over there. I think, okay, I don't want to make any promises, but I think the Discord link that's in the description works. I hope. I mean, I guess I could test it right now to see. Yeah, it should work. It should work. If you're ever wondering how to find us on Discord, there's always a link in the description. You can pretty much find everything in the description. Hello, Wonder Bro. It's been a while. What's up, Mary? Welcome to the stream. How you doing? I wasn't really sure who we'd see today, like this morning. Not, we normally don't do morning streams, so I'm always I'm always very curious who we're gonna see in the mornings. But what is up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are close. We are close to Friday. And speaking of that, okay, let's see. Speaking of being close, we are close to almost 10K. Nova, hello. How you doing? Look, she's like, "Do you want to play with me? Do you want to play with me? Is now the time? Should I wait until you start streaming and then ask?" We are at 9,796. We are so close, guys. We are so close. So close to 10K. I'm excited. We're gonna get the main point of the stream going in just a minute, guys. Just a minute. What's up, Sick? Welcome to the stream, dude. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Guys, we are so close to that 10K. Let's see. We've gained 114 subscribers in the last 28 days. Nice, nice. We are so close. We are so close. We're like 200 away. Wayne, Wayne, thank you so much, dude. We haven't even got started yet. Wayne with the $20 tip. Hey, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. How you been, Wayne? It's good to see you, dude. Good to see you. One of my close friends, Wayne. Everybody, give Wayne a shout out. I think I think I somehow combined the word friend and Wayne there. Did you guys hear that? One of my close Waynes. One of my close friends, Wayne. Everybody, give him a shout out in the chat. Thank you so much, Wayne. It's good to see you, dude. I hope you're doing well. Let's get you up there with the stream MVPs. Do I know anything about H OCD? So I'm assuming you mean harm OCD. I've got several videos, I guess, with the, I don't know if I, see, I'm a little confused. I don't know if I actually put the term OCD in the title of those videos or not, but I'm pretty sure if you look up Vacate Fear OCD, you'll find some videos about OCD. In my humble opinion, and again, I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose anybody, but in my humble opinion, OCD, anxiety, it's really all the same. It's the same concept. We perform safety-seeking behaviors and compulsions in order to avoid some sort of fear that we have mentally. The compulsions tell the brain that these things are real dangers. Now, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose anybody. I would get diagnosed. I would get diagnosed, absolutely, because I cannot do that for you. I am not a doctor. But yeah, if you look up Vacate Fear OCD, I'm sure you'll find some videos on that. I'm sure you'll find some videos on that. And just know that you are not alone. a lot of people are going through the same thing. But like I said, in my humble opinion, it's all the same concept. We perform safety-seeking behaviors and compulsions in order to soothe ourselves or the fears that we have mentally or the anxieties that these fears create, right? So we perform said behavior or compulsion, and it just kind of keeps the whole thing going. It kind of just keeps the cycle of alive because the compulsion tells the brain that this is a real danger, that this is a problem. So compulsions provide short-term relief, but the compulsions kind of keep you in the cycle, which I'm sure you've already seen that for yourself. There's really no easy way around slowly cutting out those compulsions. But that is normally the way to go as far as OCD or even just anxiety in general is concerned. The compulsions are those danger signals that we send to the brain, right? Right? And that's why things like acceptance is a thing. Living your life, the two main keys, living your life, cutting back on those compulsions and safety seeking behaviors, just living your life and no longer arguing with the thoughts because this tends to keep you in the cycle. So, growing pains, like we talked about yesterday, sometimes when you go through this process, you're going to have to face those growing pains, right? And that is exactly why we're having today's stream, which is entitled Anxious Days, an Opportunity, Not a Bad Thing. So we're going to jump into that. Anxious Days, an Opportunity, not a bad thing. Thank you so much, Carter, for the question. It leads us perfectly into today's stream, so I hope you stick around for it. So, anxious days, an opportunity, not a bad thing. Now, when we're going through this growing learning process of acceptance, rewiring, and retraining our brains against anxiety by cutting out these safety seeking behaviors, by cutting out these compulsions, which is pretty much what the two main keys boils down to. We put it a million different ways, but at the end of the day, you are showing your brain that there is no need for this alarm, right? How do you show the brain that there is no need for this alarm? Acceptance, the two main keys. Cut out the safety seeking behaviors. That's what we mean by just live. Now, you can go at your own pace. You're allowed to go at your own pace. You don't have to be perfect at this. But as you slowly cut back on the compulsions and the safety seeking behaviors like arguing with the thoughts, trying to disprove the thoughts, you're just giving these irrational thoughts power. You're telling the brain by this fight, whether it's a mental fight or an outward fight, that there's a problem, when there's not really a problem, right? But that is what we're doing because the short-term relief, a lot of people go for the short-term relief over the long-term gain. And that is the main point of today's stream. Anxious days are usually seen by people as a bad thing. Oh man, I'm having an anxious day. This is horrible. I must be going backwards. They automatically jump into the victim mindset, right? But with retraining your brain, you need to understand that you can have this different attitude towards anxiety that's going to help you a ton. And that attitude needs to be, this is not a bad thing. This is a opportunity. Because as my anxiety is turned on, that's when my anxiety is learning. So you can see how if we wake up in the morning with an attitude of, oh crap, here it is, must be going backwards, don't want to deal with this is shitty. If we wake up with that attitude, we're probably going to be in for a long day. Okay? But if we wake up and we do our best, like I said, you don't have to be perfect at any of this. We wake up and we do our best to kind of cultivate this attitude of, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Because while my anxiety is turned on, that is when my anxiety is learning. While my anxiety is turned on, that is when my anxiety is learning. So you can see the huge difference there between the attitudes. And we did a whole stream the other day just on attitudes, but you can see the whole difference there. There's a huge difference between the attitude of, this sucks, I must be going backwards, blah, 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 and this is not a bad thing because my anxiety learns while it's turned on. So today I'm going to get up, I'm going to kick as much ass as I can by just living my life, right? Doing as many things that I want to do today, productive things, fun things, whatever the case may be. You don't have to strain yourself. You don't have to run around trying to constantly fill your day with something. You can lay on the couch and watch a movie, right? Right? But you have to decide for yourself what's going to help you out the most as far as behaviors are concerned. What are your safety-seeking behaviors? What compulsions do you do? Let's try to reduce those slowly in our own time, right? But let's not get too off track. The main point is you can wake up with an attitude of, today is a day that I can learn. Today is a day that I can teach my brain. My brain only learns while the anxiety is turned on. So I'm going to do my best to cut back on the compulsions, to cut back on the safety-seeking behaviors, to live my life. And when those thoughts come, which I'm sure they will, I got to understand that the more I fight with these thoughts and feelings, the more my brain thinks I'm in trouble. The more my brain marks these thoughts up as important because it sees the fight. So today, when I experience those thoughts, they might be uncomfortable, they might suck, they might be really uncomfortable, they might make you sweat a bit, right? And you're going to be very tempted to want to go back to all of the safety seeking behaviors, to all of the compulsions, to everything that got you to where you are now. You wouldn't be here if any of that stuff worked. Let's face the facts. Can we just be honest here for a second? You wouldn't be here if any of that stuff that you've tried up until now worked. If it worked, you would have never Googled, and you would have never ended up on this channel. So let's just be honest for a moment here. If any of that fighting stuff worked, you would not be here now. Okay, so again, let's not get too off track. The main point of today's stream is you can wake up with an attitude of victim, or you can wake up with an attitude of I need this anxiety to be activated because that's when it's going to learn. I need these thoughts to come because when they come, I can choose, it sucks, it's uncomfortable, I want to go back to my compulsions, to my safety seeking behaviors, but obviously that's not working. I'm ready to live this new life. So I'm going to do my best. I don't have to be perfect, but I'm going to do my best to cut back on these compulsions. I'm going to do my best to cut back on these safety seeking behaviors. And up until now, I've never really used the word compulsion a whole lot. But I think it really puts it into people's minds, into their, it really helps with perspective when I say the word compulsion. Because then you start to look at yourself with a new sense of awareness. Like, what are the things that I'm doing? Am I fighting with my thoughts, trying to debate with them, trying to prove them wrong? Because I know they're irrational, so I need to treat them like they're irrational. Am I sitting around worrying about recovery? What am I doing? Am I living my life each day? Am I still Googling? Am I still on the forums? Am I still watching anxiety videos 24/7? Am I still doing all these little things to try to quote unquote protect myself when there's nothing to protect myself from? What are my daily habits? What are my daily behaviors? And once you get that sense of self-awareness, that's when you can really start to kick in with the attitude of this is an opportunity, not a bad thing. I might not have to, you don't have to like these thoughts. I don't like these thoughts. They make me very uncomfortable, right? They make me very anxious, right? They make me very anxious, but that's not a bad thing. Because while the anxiety is turned on, but yet here I am just getting on with my day, not giving those thoughts too much credit, which means to not debate with them so much and just kind of remind myself, yeah, it sucks, but it'll leave me alone soon because I'm no longer fueling the fire. I'm teaching my brain by not getting involved that, you know what, it doesn't have to continue to mark this up as important like it is right now, right? So, you know, this stream comes down to that fact. We can wake up with either one of two attitudes. We can obsess about this thing, and we can tell ourselves, I don't want to feel this way. Or we can start to see it as not a bad thing, but an opportunity just to continue on retraining, right? Continue on retraining. So Nova's like, okay, you made your point. Now let's play with the squeaky toy. I'm sorry, but here, I'll throw it for you once. Um, so you guys get my point, right? You guys get my point. We can wake up with one or two attitudes, and I know that's probably really loud, and I apologize for that, but we're about at the end of the main point of the stream anyway. So it's an opportunity, not a bad thing. Nova's like, okay, that's enough. You've made your point. It's an opportunity, not a bad thing. We're gonna get into some comments though. That is the main point of today's streams, guys. The difference between those two attitudes are make or break. You wake up with the victim attitude of the obsession. Oh, when will this ever be? Blah 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 blah. Then it starts to kind of spiral a little bit. So right, you can see the difference between those two attitudes, and that really was the main point of today's stream. So let's get into some comments. Let's get into some comments. What's up, PJ, Linda, John? Is that everybody? Let's see. Uh, my only trigger is travel anxiety. Otherwise, my anxiety stays dormant. Anyone else? LO anxiety is just a brain game that fills us with negative bullshit thoughts. Pretty much anything new in my routine makes me a bit anxious. Right, right. So it's going to, and that's why we talked about the other day. That's why we had an entire stream dedicated to what's the word we use there? Growing pains, because you're going to experience growing pains, right? I don't fight the feelings. I put it all aside and live. But you can still be aware that your body is getting triggered over little. Absolutely, you're going to be aware. Absolutely. But that's the thing. See, this could be the only difference. This could be the make or break thing for you. So you say, I don't use no safety behaviors, no coping. I don't do any. I don't fight with the thoughts. Right. So that's all great. But then you say, but you can still be aware that your body is getting triggered over little. You absolutely can be aware. But are you doing a lot of obsession on how, when, or you see what we're saying? So your body gets triggered. You're going through this thing. These are growing pains. They're to be expected. There's nothing wrong with growing pains. This might take some time, right? I mean, after all, you've probably programmed your way into an anxious mindset for a very long time now. So this might take some time. But don't get upset or frustrated at the fact that it is taking time. Don't get obsessed. Don't get obsessed with the fact that it is taking time. So you're aware that your body is triggered over very little, and that's okay. That's okay. You're continuing to do your own thing, right? Right? You're continuing to do your own thing. So it's very easy to get frustrated. It's very easy to get obsessed with the process, and this is where that change of attitude really helps. So I would say just continue on because sometimes these things do take time, right? Continue on because sometimes these things do take time, and just continue to grow your own self awareness. And when I say continue to grow your own self awareness, all I mean by that is continue to be aware about really what is it that you do each day. Is there something you do that when you become anxious, is there something you reach for? Is there some sort of mentality that you reach for that's you're trying to protect yourself from something, right? Or are you truly just leaving it alone and living your life, right? Or are you truly just leaving it alone and live your life? And if you are, that's great. Just continue on. If you are, that's great. Just continue on. Don't start obsessing that you might be missing something because that's probably what's keeping you anxious, right? I'm not obsessing. I just notice it's annoying as hell, like I'm doing something wrong or I'm missing something. So that's probably what's keeping you anxious, right? That's probably adding a little bit of stress and strain that you don't need. I'm not saying that's the root of all your problems. From what you've told me, if you're being completely honest, you just need to give it more time, right? Because sometimes retraining a brain does not happen overnight. So, but if you are spending a lot of time being annoyed that you're doing something wrong or missing something, that is obsession. So you say, I'm not obsessing, but it's annoying, like I'm doing something wrong. Well, that is obsessing, right? So you kind of get what we're getting at there. I completely understand how frustrating, it can be at times when you have those days. I completely understand that. But let's not fall too deep into what am I doing wrong? Or am I missing something? No. No, that's why we try to make the two main keys as simple as possible. If you're living your life not using compulsions and safety seeking behaviors, you cut those out in your own time. You don't have to be perfect. You can go at your own pace. But if you're cutting back on the compulsions, the safety seeking behaviors, you're getting back into life, no matter how uncomfortable you may feel, and you're not putting so much effort into fighting with those thoughts, then that's great. You're not sending as many danger signals to the brain, and the brain will learn. And the brain will learn because you're cutting back on the behaviors, which is what's telling the brain there's a problem, right? Right? Look at this dog. Look at this face. Look at this face. So sometimes it just takes a little bit more time, PJ. Don't fall too down the rabbit hole of am I doing something wrong? That's why we try to make it as simple as possible so that people don't fall down that rabbit hole. If you're feeling uncomfortable, but you're just living your life not using as many safety seeking behaviors or compulsions or any at all, great. And you're not giving those thoughts too much credit by spending too much time fighting with them, then you're making progress. There's no way around it. If you're cutting out compulsions, safety seeking behaviors, at your own pace, you don't have to cut everything out right away. If you're just becoming more self aware and cutting down on the compulsions, the safety seeking behaviors, living your life, then you're learning, right? Your brain is learning. Oh, it might happen again and again. You got to understand that you've probably spent your whole life living a certain way. And if we look back, we see this to be true. So a lot of people say, well, it only took me 2 weeks to become sensitized. It took me 2 months to become sensitized. That's not exactly true. Your whole life, you probably had a lot of negative behaviors that have told your brain, right, that this person wants to be anxious. Not necessarily. You didn't know that at the time, right? But you've probably had these behaviors for quite some time. So the fact that it takes some time is okay. It's okay. Nobody is the same. Everybody's different. It could take you 2 days. It could take you 2 weeks. I don't know. It could take you 2 months. But there's no need to obsess about that because there's no answer to that question. There's really no answer to that question. So I would say just continue with your self-awareness. Continue with your self-awareness. How do I behave each day? What do I do when I'm anxious? Do I try to fight with it all? What do I do? Do I have little safety-seeking behaviors, right? Try to cut back on the compulsions, cut back on those behaviors, live your life, don't fight so much with those thoughts. You'll teach the brain that there's not a real danger present. Sometimes that takes time. I fully recovered 100%. I couldn't work. I was afraid to go outside. Any symptom you name, I promise you had it. Acceptance saved my life. It's the only way. That's awesome, dude. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Some very helpful and hopeful thoughts. Morning, bro. What's up, Wanderlust? How you doing? Anybody need motivation? I'm living proof. I pop my head in the live chats here and there to provide a little motivation. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. It really helps people out. Yeah, exactly. I should see my anxiety as a friend slash protector. I think you're all making great progress. Everybody that's in here, that's what I would consider a regular compared to where you used to be when I first met you. Okay, you're all making great progress. You really are. Ugh, I'm burpy. Well, that's the thing, PJ. That's just the anxious mind. You're like, what if I miss something and this doesn't go as planned? What if I miss something and I'm doing something wrong? I would say as you continue forward, I would say you really need to start chalking that up as just another anxious thought. Because it is. Because it's rooted in what if. It's rooted in what if I'm missing something. You see that it's rooted in what if. It's negative. So moving forward, I would really say if everything you told me is true, you've cut back majorly on compulsions, safety-seeking behaviors, you're living your life again, and you're not fighting so much with those negative thoughts, you're not giving them as much importance. I would say really moving forward, the only thing that I would do at this point is just keep doing what you're doing, A, and B, start marking those thoughts up that say, well, what if I'm doing something wrong? Start marking those up as just another anxious thought. And don't give that any importance either. I would say that would make a world of difference for you moving forward, honestly. Because it's sneaky. It's sneaky like that. Good morning and thank you. No problem. I'm over here playing with Nova a little bit since we're just hanging out. Once I learned the concept of acceptance, I started putting myself into situations that spiked my anxiety and did it over and over again until I became comfortable. Every negative thought, yeah. So when you say challenge it, you simply mean be with it, right? When you say challenge it, you simply mean be with it. I want to make that clear for anyone in the chat who might read your comment. When you say every negative thought or situation that makes me anxious, I challenge it. Well, you challenge it in an accepting way, like you said. You challenge it in an accepting way, not in a fighting way, not in a trying to fight with way, but more in a there's that thought, there's that feeling, here's this situation, I'm going to be with it, right? I'm going to teach my brain this is not a real danger by not fighting with it. It is what it is. Sometimes that's uncomfortable. We call that growing pains. Not a bad thing. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. You might experience some growing pains as you start to cut back on these compulsions, these safety-seeking behaviors, all this jazz that's been telling your brain, that there's a problem for however long. You might experience some growing pains, and that's okay. It means it's working, right? What's up, Coffee? How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, here's the thing, Arlene. Less trying, and more just being with. So less trying to make the anxiety go away, and more just being with until the brain learns it's not an issue. These thoughts come, these feelings come, whatever the situation. We cut back on the compulsions, we cut back on the safety-seeking behaviors. This might cause some growing pains, which is totally fine. This might cause some growing pains, which is totally fine. But the more we sit around and say, why is it not working? That's just more obsession. That's just more fighting with. So as you move forward, I think you're doing great, by the way. But as you move forward, I would tell you the same thing I told PJ. Not as much obsession about what am I doing wrong? Why is it not working? This is all just more anxious thinking, right? Coffee. Coffee, thank you so much for the $10 tip, dude. I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Let's get that updated. Um, but yes, I would tell you the same thing I told PJ. Less about what am I doing wrong, what do I need to do, blah blah blah. More about just living and doing what you want to do, and less about when will it go away, how will it go. Less obsession about the process, and more obsession about life. Right? Right? Growing pain as in you get uncomfortable with doing the opposite of what you're used to. Yes. Growing pain as in you get uncomfortable. You get uncomfortable because you're cutting down on the compulsions, the safety seeking behaviors. You want to argue with the thoughts. You want to fight with the feelings. You want to use the compulsions and the safety seeking behaviors. So you might feel uncomfortable doing the opposite of what you've been doing for all these weeks, months, and years. Right? You might feel uncomfortable because you're doing the opposite of what you've done for all these days, weeks, months, and years. So we call that growing pains. And growing pains is not a bad thing. Be proud, right? Your brain's learning. Your brain is learning. You should all be very proud of yourself. I never said it was an easy process. I said it was simple. It's straightforward. It's easy to understand. But I didn't say you wouldn't experience some growing pains, and that's fine. It's a lot, you've been going through it already. You've been dealing with this for I don't know how long. So who cares about some growing pains? Who cares about some growing pains, right? So to everybody in chat, I say less obsession about the process and more obsession about life. Less obsession about the process, more obsession about life. You're going to experience some growing pains as you cut back on these compulsions and safety seeking behaviors. The two main keys: as you live your life, how you want to live it, little or big ways, go at your own pace. Perfection is not required. And don't give so much fight to these thoughts. And that includes thoughts about what if I'm doing something wrong or blah, blah, blah. If you know the advice, you know the advice. It can't be any more straightforward. These anxious thoughts and questions are just more anxious thoughts and questions. So you need to treat them the same way. The two main keys: live in life. When these negative thoughts come, you know what? I'm not going to give you as much importance. I'm just getting back into living my life. You might be there. I'm not trying to push you away or pull you away. You might still be there, and you might be there, and you might be loud, you might scream, you might whisper, but eventually you're going to leave me alone because I'm not adding any more fuel to the fire. Whatever, dude. Whatever. I'm just living life, man. I'm not going to give you any importance because I'm not going to tell my brain that you're a problem because you're not. Okay? So, less obsession about the process, just more obsession with life, right? Right? You got it. You guys got it. You got it. Thank you again, Coffee, so much, and thank you again, Wayne, so much for the tips, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much for your kindness and wisdom, Wonder Bro. You are very welcome. And remember, guys, growing pains are not a bad thing. As you start cutting out compulsions and safety-seeking behaviors, which, by the way, there's such a thing as mental compulsions too. When you try to fight and debate with these thoughts, that's a mental compulsion. That tells your brain this is important somehow. If you know that it's a thought, it's irrational or unlikely or whatever the case may be, treat it as such, right? So keep in mind there's outward compulsions like googling and forums and whatever your compulsions are, and there's mental compulsions. So as you start to cut back on these things, which basically is the two main keys in a nutshell, living life and not fighting with the thoughts, you might experience growing pains, and that's okay. They're no worse than what you've already been through, right? It's no worse than what you've already been through, so you might as well do it the right way. And when I say the right way, I simply mean less compulsions. I had panic attacks. I haven't had a panic attack in years now. Negative, intrusive thoughts nowhere to be found. That's awesome. That is awesome. So we've got someone in the chat making great, great progress, healed, recovered, can vouch for everything I'm saying, right? We've got a lot of people with a lot of success. And just because you're not there at 100% yet, that's fine. No need to jump into obsession about it. Keep going. Pat yourself on the back for how far you've come. Sometimes this doesn't happen overnight. I'm sure it didn't happen overnight for them either, and it didn't happen overnight for me. And that's fine. It's okay. I know we wish that it would. I get that. I get it. But you should be proud of how far you've come and make it into a game, man. Make it into a fun game, right? And people are probably like, are you crazy? How can I make this into a fun game? Well, you can look at it as I'm doing the work, I'm retraining my brain, I'm being the person that I want to be despite this anxiety, right? And instead of looking at that as, oh, tedious process, just be proud of yourself during, right? Instead, be proud of yourself instead of looking at it as like such a tedious process, right? So you see where we're going wrong. I get well and fight back to normality. Okay, we'll drop the word fight. And again, in one day, all progress is destroyed. So you see the mentalities that are keeping you where you're at, right? I just want to point them out. I'm not trying to throw anybody on the bus, but I just want to point them out. You get the mentalities of like, it haunts me. I'm back to where I was. One day, it's all the progress is gone. You see all the bullshit. You can see right. I can see right through it because I used to be the same way. because I used to be the same way. So we start feeling anxious and automatically we start telling ourselves things like, oh, all progress is destroyed. I'm back to exactly how I was before. This is all the fight. This is the resistance. This is the thing we don't want you to do, right? You got to start opening the arms to accept or to anxiety with acceptance, right? There can be no more shying away from it. There can be no more, oh, all my progress is destroyed. I'm right back to. We got to start welcoming anxiety with open arms. No more of the I fight my way back and now it's all gone and progress is all lost and I'm all screwed. And this is the total opposite, right? We've got to start seeing anxiety as not a problem, okay? And we do that with our attitude. We do that with getting back into living life. We do that with realizing that whatever we fuel gets to that point, right? 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 So we got to start seeing anxiety with open arms, right? Not as a bad thing. Not as a bad thing. 10K soon. What's up, Edward? Welcome to the stream. Now, I just want to say you guys are doing great. I know it's easy to get upset, to get frustrated, but this is a part of these so-called growing pains, right? All right, guys, I'm going to switch over to the post stream here. I'm going to switch over to the post stream so I can grab a smoke. Oh. But don't worry, I've got comments still with me. It's all good. All right. Let's see. Let's see here, guys. Let's see comments. Comments. Hey, I would try to pronounce your name, but I would screw that up. I would screw that up so bad. I wish you explained get obsessed with life and not recovery when I started recovering because that is so fundamental. Damn good advice. Right? That's a good way to put. I've never put it that way before. So that was a first even for me. That was a first even for me, but I like that. That could be a quote, honestly. Absolutely. That's the growing pains that we talk about. Kung Fu. Like it doesn't happen that way for everybody. It doesn't happen that way for everybody, but it does happen. It's common. 9 times out of 10, that can be a part of the process, and that's fine. It's no worse than what you've already been through, right? Like I think we can agree on that. Absolutely exhausted at this stage with repetitive thoughts. So instead of exhausting yourself with them, because I can tell you the fight with them is that's the exhaustion part. I can tell you that from personal experience. That's the exhaustion part. Is the fight with them. Just start agreeing, right? Just do the opposite. Okay, sure. Instead of the exhausting fight, right? Like I said, dude, I would totally butcher your name, so I'm not gonna try to pronounce it, but you are welcome. Oh, my last name was Excalibur. Okay, I was wondering. I was like, who do I have modded? Who do I have modded? And I don't even know their name. Excalibur. Okay, I'll try to remember that. I'll try to remember that. Yeah, exactly what Coffee said. Everybody read Coffee's comment. That's perfect. Now is the time to show your brain that the coping mechanisms aren't needed through your positive and accepting behaviors. Yes, and sometimes you might have to face growing pains. That's what we call it, or that's what I've been calling it. It's the best way to put it, in my opinion. But it's no worse than what you've already been through. So at least you're doing it the right way. Who cares, right? Well, to agree with them does not mean to accept. It does not mean to accept that they're true. It does not mean to, you know, let's say we agree with a negative thought. That doesn't mean that you're telling yourself that the negative thought is somehow the absolute truth. You're simply just agreeing not to fight. That's what it is. You're not. It's not about the context. Forget that. It's not about the context of the thought. I know it seems weird. It seems very weird to agree rather than fight with these irrational thoughts, but they are irrational at the end of the day. So you need to treat them as such, or maybe they're not irrational. Maybe they're just what ifs that don't really have an answer or a solution. Same thing. Forget about the context. I want you to just forget about the context. That's not important, right? But what you're doing by agreeing is you're no longer exhausting yourself because you're like, there's no point in doing that. You get what I'm saying? There's no point in doing that. So it's not that you're agreeing with the context. Forget about that. I understand that that feels weird, but forget about that. It's not, the agreeing part is not about agreeing with the context. You can leave out context. It's about realizing that it's pointless to do anything else with these thoughts, right? That's what it's about. It's about realizing that doing anything else with these thoughts is just a compulsion that's keeping you exhausted because it's pointless, right? So I know in one sense it's a little weird because you feel like you're agreeing with the context, but it's not about that. You've just realized it's pointless to do anything else. And like somebody said, you might have to face growing pains while doing that, but I'm telling you it's no worse than what you're already going through, right? So you might as well do it the right way. And that's really the two main keys, cutting out the mental and physical compulsions. The physical compulsions are covered by just living your life, right? That covers physical compulsions. The not following your negative thoughts, aka accepting negative thoughts, that covers the mental compulsions. Both mental and physical compulsions are telling the brain that this is important or dangerous, right? So the two main keys tackles both the physical and mental compulsions. And you might experience growing pains while doing that, but like I keep saying, it's no worse than what you're already going through, so who cares? At least you're doing it right, right? So really at the end of the day, when you break down the two main keys, that's what they're there for. They cut out the physical and mental compulsions, which is what's sending the brain the danger signals, right? But I'm glad you made that comment because I know it feels weird at first just kind of agreeing with and accepting the thoughts. It almost feels like you're agreeing with the context, but it has nothing to do with that. You've just realized that anything else is pointless. So you see what we're getting at there. Well, not necessarily actual pain. When I say growing pains, it's just kind of like a metaphor. It's just you might feel uncomfortable because you're no longer using compulsions, but it's no worse than what you've already been through, so who cares, right? But I believe we're on the same page, yeah. But it's better than the outcome, which is getting worse. And exactly, it's better than the outcome. Obviously, what you're doing now is not working. That's a main point that I like to stress because if it was working, you wouldn't be here, right? If it was working, you wouldn't be here. So I like to stress that point. So just because you have to face some growing pains by cutting out compulsions is not a problem. Because obviously what you're doing now isn't working. Obviously you're sick of living that way, or you wouldn't be here. So the fact that you may have to face some growing pains when cutting back on physical and mental compulsions is not an issue. It's not an issue. And that's why we had an entire stream dedicated to that, because it's no worse than what you're already going through. So you see what we're getting at there. Guys, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you leave a like on the stream. I don't know why, okay? I don't know why it helps, but it helps. It helps the videos, it helps the channels grow. So if you like the channel, if you like the streams, make sure you leave a like. We're very, very close to that 10K mark, and it really does help. Growing pains, man. But it's no worse. Like I keep saying, it's no worse than what you've already been through. Negative thoughts do tend to keep people in the cycle longer than they need to be, but you're not going to be stuck forever. I promise you that. But yeah, negative thoughts and the mental compulsions, arguing with them and giving them life instead of just bearing the discomfort until eventually the fire burns out. That's why we keep saying the word growing pains. Yeah, it tends to keep people kind of stuck. But then I don't want you to develop an attitude of, oh well, I can't recover until the thoughts stop. That's not the point. The thoughts will stop as soon as you stop. Stop messing with them, right? And that might not happen instantly. That might take some time. And again, the word growing pains, and that's fine, right? That's fine. So you've switched from kind of like total resistance to kind of being annoyed by it. There you go. That's progress. That's major progress, actually. Huge. Cutting out the mental and physical compulsions, right? That's huge. And like I said, guys, that's why we did a whole stream on growing pains because they're normal. They happen and they're nothing to be afraid of or upset about. In fact, you should just take pride and be happy and glad that you're cutting back on the mental and physical compulsions because as I keep saying, what you're doing before obviously wasn't working or you wouldn't be here. So there's no need to get upset about growing pains. In fact, we should just embrace them. We should just embrace them because I mean, obviously you're sick of living the way that you're living or you wouldn't be here. Such an important point to make. Such an important point to make. And I know it feels like sometimes I really just beat these points to death, but it's really important that you keep this in mind while you're moving forward so you don't get too discouraged. That's really the thing. Okay? You're more than allowed. Nobody can force you to do anything. You're more than allowed to live the way that you're currently living. You're more than allowed to continue to fight with the thoughts. You're more than allowed to do whatever you want to do. You are your own person, okay? But obviously you're sick of it, right? Obviously you're sick of it. So I barely moved out of the way of that one. This toy is actually pretty heavy that she has, and sometimes if I'm not paying attention and I don't catch it right away, she can knock you with this thing. Like she will knock me with this thing. Hey, that's awesome, man. I'm proud of your progress. See, you got to be vigilant, or she'll knock you out with this. But again, as far as medication goes, that's something you should always talk to your doctor about. Always. I'm not a doctor. Medication is a personal choice. I want nothing to do with it. Don't make any decisions about your medication based on me, right? I have to say that. Don't make any decisions about your medication based on me. Talk to your doctor about that. Always, always, always. I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose anybody, and I certainly cannot tell you what to do about your medication. So that's something you should definitely discuss with your doctor before you go messing with all that. But proud of your progress. That is awesome. Yeah, I think about what could possibly happen. Upcoming event over and over and over again in my head every day, wondering how I'm going to feel. This is again is just more anxious thinking. It's just more negative thinking. So instead of trying to fight with it, just agree with it in a way. Just say, okay, whatever. If it happens, it happens. And at first, that might make you feel uncomfortable because you're no longer resorting to compulsions. But it can't make you feel any more uncomfortable than you already are, in a sense, right? You get what I'm getting at? So, I mean, the battle is exhausting and it's never won. So, yeah. It's strange like that. Like once you start dedicating to the two main keys, you're gonna have ups and downs, right? Damn, I missed the stream. We're just hanging out, Dwayne. This stream will be uploaded, more than likely, unless for some reason YouTube was to screw up or something. But all my streams get uploaded unless I believe that they're not worthy of being uploaded. But this was a pretty solid stream. I'm happy with this stream, so it'll get uploaded. You can catch it later. Ups and downs are normal, guys. Growing pains, that's what we like to call them. It's just a metaphor. It's not, I'm not literally mean pain, it's just discomfort. Growing pains when cutting out mental and physical compulsions, which is really what the two main keys are all about. Living life covers the physical compulsions, and no longer fighting with those negative, irrational, intrusive thoughts covers the mental compulsions. You might face some growing pains while doing that, but if this is the route that you decide to dedicate to, great. And if you face ups and downs, and if you face growing pains, great. Understand that a lot of people here have had a lot of success, and sometimes success can't be measured overnight, and that's fine. And that's really the main point of today's stream is that anxious days, they're an opportunity, not a bad thing. That's the mindset I want you to adopt, right? Okay, awesome. Just making sure. Of course, I talked to my doctor before quitting. Everything was coordinated with my doctor. Yes, absolutely. That is the way you have to go. That is the way you have to go, right? Well, yeah, Fish. I mean, you're going to have days where you've got anxious pathways that are just acting up. You're going to have days where you've got old triggering thoughts. You're going to have days where, maybe a situation, whatever the case may be, you're going to have those days. And that's why I want you to look at them as an opportunity and not a bad thing, because they really are an opportunity to continue working on cutting out those mental and physical compulsions so that you can rewire your brain and teach it, hey, this is not a danger, because look at me. Right? So you're going to have those days, and that's why I really want people to start to cultivate the attitude of it's an opportunity and not a bad thing, because that'll take you far. That'll take you far when you start to look at these days or moments. Sometimes it's not all days, sometimes it's just moments. But when you really start to look at them as opportunities and not a bad thing, that helps tremendously. That helps tremendously. It's like, okay, I'm having a day where I've got a lot of the same old thoughts on repeat because most of the time it is the same old thoughts, but whatever. Whether it is or not, not relevant. Um, I've got a lot of these thoughts, they're triggering me. I could resort to mental and physical compulsions, but today I'm just living life and I'm not going to fight with the thoughts. That's great because I know that my brain is learning, especially on days like this. That's the attitude I really want you to carry forward because it's so much better than, oh gosh, I'm back to square one. Oh gosh, this is horrible. You see what we're getting at. That's definitely not the way you want to go about it. To have that attitude of, oh gosh, this is horrible. I'm back to square one. Blah blah blah. We want you to just instead have an attitude of, maybe this sucks. I get it, but it's an opportunity. Nova agrees. She squeaks the toy when she agrees. So there you go. What do you think of Jordan Peterson? I don't know who that is. Here, I'm gonna throw your toy for you. There you go. I know if you're starting on like the bottom of the totem pole, this might feel impossible, and you don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. Oh gosh, I understand how that feels, but just believe me, right? It's there. So Linda, PJ, the body might automatically produce fear. We call this anxiety. We can't help the first fear. But with the retraining and the cutting out of mental and physical compulsions, okay, this is what's going to get you ahead, right? But you don't beat yourself up over something you can't help, like the body producing that first fear. It's really the same thing, Kung Fu. If you're not experiencing physical symptoms of anxiety, but it's a lot of mental, a lot of negative thoughts and stuff, it's the same thing. Continue to work on cutting out the physical and mental compulsions so that you can tell your brain, hey, these thoughts are not important nor dangerous, and they don't require an alarm, right? Since you want to be a camera hog, say hello to everybody. Right there, right up there. Hello. You got your tail wagging. Where's your toy? Here. Nope, go behind me. There you go. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. She's so big, dude, and she doesn't realize how big she is. She has hurt me, not on purpose, many, many times. But I don't know what I would do without her. Really, Nova? You choose now. You choose now. All day you've been like, you know what? I just want to nap all day. I don't want to do shit. And then as soon as we start streaming, you're like, you know what? Let's see. I'm gonna drop a few links here, guys, in case anyone is interested. Actually, that's not gonna work. Can't get to that right now. Let's see. I can do this though. I can do this though. Let me see. Can drop that Facebook link for you guys. I try to keep that updated. There you go. Right there. Let's get us some music going too, since we're just hanging out. Where'd my music go? Why does that always do that? Nova! Ugh. I thought we had some music. Did that fix it? No. Let's just do this then. Nothing? I don't know. They recently updated OBS, so everything's a little weird. Everything's a little weird now, and I don't get some of it. There we go. Sorry if that was a little loud. I actually need to... I need to... Wait. Okay, there we go. What is going on? I pushed something on my mouse and now the cursor's like flying around the screen. I'm getting hungry, guys, to be honest with you. What are you guys gonna do this weekend? What's everybody up to? I got a workout in this morning. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, your boy got a workout in this morning. Are you proud of me? That's something I never do. That is just something I never do. But I thought, you know what? Why not? Why not? I would like to make it into like a daily habit, but we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'd go that far. just yet, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I need to really get these lights working again. I think it's time to change this up a little bit. With what, though? The days I do work out, even just for 15 minutes, I feel like I make twice the much progress towards recovery. I mean, working out's not for everybody. You know, it's not, and I don't mean that in like a lazy tense. Oh, some people are lazy; they don't like to work out. I mean that. I mean, I am lazy when it comes to working out, but just like anxiety altogether, like working out is something that's suggested a lot. However, it's not for everybody. I mean, it's not something you have to do in order to recover, obviously. But some people it helps, some people it doesn't. All right, let's see. I want to mix it up a little bit. I want to mix it up a little bit with the background here. Oh boy, what did I just do? What did I just do? I can't see myself. What's going on? Okay, there we go. I thought I broke it. But yeah, working out's not for everybody. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people says it helps, some people says it don't. It's definitely not something you have to do to recover. I mean, just look at me, right? But hey, if it helps you, that's great. See that as a positive behavior. I need to slow this down a little bit. Now, I'm way out of shape. Like, working out's just physically beneficial to me. So, did you ever had thoughts about the real you versus the anxiety thought? Sometimes the anxiety tells me this is a real me, when you know it's not. Let's focus on that last part there. You know it's not. I mean, it can feel very real in the moment, though. Like, trust me, I don't underestimate that. I know how that feels. That song's a little bit too slow paced for me. Something a little bit more upbeat. I was working out for a while. I like walking better. Yeah, I mean, it's all personal choice when it comes to things like that, right? I guess she tired herself out because now she's like passed out. That's a good point. That's a good point to make. Wait, can I like remove this now? Okay, no. What should I do when I start to feel like I'm not in my own body? Well, don't tell yourself horror stories about it. Don't tell yourself horror stories about it. So we should never tell ourselves horror stories about anxiety symptoms, right? The horror story just adds a whole nother layer of fear, which is not needed. Of course, you might feel the compulsion and, the pull to do that, but don't do that. Don't start telling yourself horror stories about the way that you feel. The pull to do that and the compulsion, the desire to want to do that might be strong, but instead just live your life, right? And understand that these are anxiety symptoms, right? What specs do I have in my PC? Good question. Right off the top of my head, like 16 gigs DDR4 RAM, 580 or 570, I believe. 580, 570, something like that. i5. What else? What else are we working? It's like an average. It's like an average build. I mean, it'll play pretty much anything I want it to play on like average or high settings that's out right now. But it'll definitely need some updating in the future. But yeah, like i5, 16 gigs, 570 or 580, I believe. The motherboard is nothing to brag about. I kind of went cheap with it on the motherboard. Alright guys, we just actually, like just now, passed that 1 hour mark. So I'm going to go ahead and end this stream here. Let's go ahead and get this music out of here. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream here, guys. We just passed that 1 hour mark. We are so close to the big 10K. 10K. We are so close. So if you're looking for a sign to subscribe, this is it right here. All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Wayne, Coffee, thank you so much for the tips. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed the stream. It helps the channel grow. And like I said, we are right around the corner from that 10K mark, so I can use all the help that I can get. And I will see you guys soon. Okay. And until next time.